Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie, and for today's video we are talking about Talk to Me. So this is a film that came out 2022. I can't believe it's been that long since this film came out. Feels like it hasn't been out that long, but I guess I really did miss the boat on this one, so I'm sure most of you have heard of this film. It was pretty well hyped within, I feel like, the horror community online, and it is one that I just missed getting to see in theaters, but it is now available to watch on Netflix in the US, so that is where I watched it. And yeah, going into this film, maybe my expectations were a bit too high just because of how hyped this film was. I feel like it was really beloved amongst the community. Part of that, I do sometimes wonder if that has anything to do with the fact that it is an A24 film. I've been pretty vocal about the fact that when it comes to A24, I'm not as obsessed as some people. I know there are people that like worship the ground that A24 was built on, and will just like watch anything and everything A24 because it's A24. I am not one of those people. I think that they do create wonderful content. I mean, they're a great production company, and I love the fact that they really kind of like, they do really heavily specialize in horror, but obviously produce other types of films as well. And they definitely have films that I really like, but I think because their type of horror is often referred to as elevated horror, which I kind of have my own opinions on that term. I'm not really a fan. I know there's a lot of people that don't like love that term. It just makes certain horror films like feel like they're superior. I mean, that's like a whole bit in Scream 5 in the beginning of that film. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And I think because that is a lot of what A24 specializes in, and it's just not my niche, obviously. You know, if you're not new here, you know I love a slasher. I mean, I just went and saw, it's not really slasher, but I feel like it's in that realm. Just went and saw the new Final Destination. Check out that review. So that's like my vibe, and I think maybe that's the problem with this film, is that it's just not. And again, I went into it with kind of high expectations because of how hyped it was. It's a possession film, if you don't know. It is about this group of teenagers, mostly focused on this character of Mia, who is going through mourning. Her mother has recently passed away. I don't know if they specify how recently, but while kind of trying to deal with her grief, she gets wrapped up in this group of other teenagers, her friends, these people that like her best friend have been hanging out with, that throw these parties and play this game called Talk to Me, with this hand where if you grab the hand, you then can like speak to spirits. They don't really call them demons, they call them spirits on the other side. And at one point, Mia believes that she is talking to her mother, and that kind of draws her in more. I honestly, because of I think the trailers, I expected that to be a bigger part of the film. I felt like, from what I remember, the trailer really made it seem like we were gonna follow Mia as she like continues to hyper fixate on this game, and that's not really what we got. We do see her kind of push the limits. She puts the brother of her best friend at risk trying to communicate with her mom. She believes that she's communicating with her through him. Whatever spirit that he brings forth pretends to be her mom, and so she pushes kind of the boundaries and the time frame of this game a little bit too far to get to speak to her, but I expected that to be more of an aspect of this film because of the trailers, like I said, but really wasn't. We see her do that, and then the brother becomes kind of possessed and ends up harming himself, or the spirit ends up causing him to harm himself, which lands him in the hospital. And so the last kind of half of the film is Mia especially trying to save him. But I feel like the majority of the film was us watching the characters playing this game. There's like a montage scene of them playing that was quite a bit long, and then we just see them like continuing to, and then obviously the events that happen that land the brother in the hospital. And then, like I said, the last kind of not even half, I would say, the last bit of the film is, again, Mia trying to figure out a way to save him. We see her continually communicating to what she believes is her mother, and leading, and said spirit leading her to believe, attempts to lead her to believe that she needs to kill the brother to save him, that there's, you know, no other, that the spirits on the other side, these evil spirits, have taken him, and then that is the only way to save him. At the very kind of last second before Mia attempts to do anything, we see her make the realization that she is actually being manipulated by the spirit pretending to be her mom, and instead of sacrificing him, she sacrificed herself. And we see her, she jumps in front of a car. We see her then kind of walking through the hospital, and to me, that it was very obvious kind of right away that she was no longer alive. I feel like it's something that they kind of try at the very last second to make like a twist, and it was very much at the end of the film, but I feel like the second we see her kind of walking into the hospital, it's very obvious, especially because at one point she's following what she believes is her father, who at this point is already dead. I'm not gonna get into like all of those details. If you've seen the film, you know why, but we see her follow him down this hallway, and then we see her kind of go into this dark room and grab a hand, and then it is revealed that there is this group of people in another country. I'm not sure what language they were speaking, but this person is now playing the game, and Mia is now the spirit, which I definitely thought, I liked that ending. I thought that that was a great twist ending to the film. I thought that those last few minutes of the film were really, really good, and it ended up like really grabbing my attention in a way the rest of the film hadn't. The majority of this film, I found myself kind of kept like reaching for my phone and like having to like force myself to put it down. Like I just kind of kept being bored, to be honest, and wasn't really that drawn into the film until those last few minutes, where I thought that it got really, really good. And that is just kind of unfortunate. It's like, you know, you want to be drawn into the film from from the beginning. You want to be able to just sit there and like have a film keep your attention. Granted, I have ADHD, so that can just be hard in general, not always the film's fault. In this case, it really just didn't do that for me until, like I said, the last couple of minutes. And while they were really good, I don't think that they were worth it. I don't think that last couple of minutes of really satisfying twist ending are worth sitting through the whole film. Now granted, it's only like an hour and a half. It's not really that long in terms of films these days, so you know, it is a film that if you haven't seen, even though I just spoiled the whole thing for you, you know, if you've got the time and you want to check it out, it's not gonna take you, you know, several hours to watch. But you know, for me, it just wasn't super great, and I didn't quite get the hype of the film. I kind of said in my letterbox, I did do like a letterbox review, which I normally do, and a lot of times I go through and kind of click, see what other people are saying before I sit down. I was actually surprised to see that there was other people that kind of also didn't enjoy this film really. One thing that I saw some people were saying is just that Mia's not a likable protagonist, which doesn't really bother me. I always say we don't need to have a perfect protagonist. You know, there's no such thing as like a perfect victim. And so Mia not being 100% likable throughout this film, that didn't really bother me. She really is not likable, but she's also going through some shit, and I understand that. But, you know, that, again, didn't deter me from this film. But I did say in my Letterboxd review that, you know, this isn't a film that I saw in theaters, and I wondered if that had somewhat to do with it. Not to say that people can't genuinely enjoy a film, I think there is an atmosphere of the theater that can add to that. I definitely prefer to go see films in the theater, like I said, because, you know, I sit at home and I often struggle with finding myself like reaching for my phone, you know, distracting myself, getting up, moving around, things like that I wouldn't do in the movie theater. And so I do prefer to see films that way, and maybe that's just part of it with this film, and maybe it's just not a film for me, because like I said, it's just not, you know, Possession, A24, just not my usual go-to. So yeah, this film just, it's not for me. I'm glad that there are people out there that really, really enjoyed this film, especially when it came out. I think that, you know, I love the fact that we have a female lead who is a person of color. I think that that is very important. I think that that's something that we should continue to do. I'm looking at you, Scream franchise. So I think that that is great, but again, does not make this film for me. So if you have seen Talk to Me, let me know what your thoughts were on it in the comments below. I hope that you did enjoy this review. If you did, please do give it a big old thumbs up. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for more spooky and horror related content, and I will see you all again later with another video. Bye.